Do you mind disclosing, like right off the bat, what this game's going to be about?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say the whole thing, of course, but mainly how do I put this? You're drunk, you're in debt, you're stupid. And, yeah, you're just drunk, you're in debt, you're stupid. You screw with the wrong people, and the consequences come back at you. And then the game starts to open up more and more into this, it felt like a linear feel into a more righteous path. You're like, oh, I've done all these bad things, I get sent to this zone, and now I'm going to do the right thing. And it kind of goes from just a story of someone who was a low life into something bigger.
What influenced you to make this game?
A friend actually bought me the RPG Maker, and I was joking around with him. He's like, oh, hey, look at this, I always want this. It's like, okay, I'll buy it for you. So like, okay. He buys me the game, at least the engine to run it, and he sends it over to me, and I was like, okay, I'll make you a game. So I said, I'll make you a game, what does this look like? I started thinking to myself, let me put it like this, he bought me, so I told him I'll make him a game. I was like, it's going to be about a 5-hour game, I'll make it to you for compensation for what you did. And then as I started to get along, I talked to one of my friends, Jacob Allen, and we started to talk about it more and more, and he said, oh, this looks like Final Fantasy type deal. I was like, oh, maybe make it into something like Final Fantasy. And it started to develop more and more. Me and him started talking about it, and we were like, oh, we can make this game into something big. We could work on it for maybe a full year. Work on this game for years, or at least a year, and then we could sell it. And yeah, that's basically how this came out of it. That was one of the influences.
What other games influence this game that you're making right now? Do you have any other games that you're kind of basing it off of, or are helping inspire you along with the creativeness of this game?
Nope. I'm joking. No, Final Fantasy a lot. Also, it's mainly Final Fantasy and the story-driven elements that it had, but also Diablo to the degree where you go through dungeons, and at the end you get this prize. Or any other dungeon crawler, like at the very end you get a prize, and you always want the better piece of gear, and that's another element. And Skyrim as well, where there's side quests that you do, and in the end you get more plot, you just get more about the world, and then you also get gear too. So those are some inspirations.
What type of game is this going to be exactly? Is it going to be like an RPG or an MPG or...
MPG, I don't know.
I don't know, I believe it's MOROG or something like that. MPR?
Oh.
What?
The game mainly is going to be an adventure type deal. It will have some RPG elements and have some dungeon crawler elements too, but mainly if you think of Final Fantasy, that's what it'll kind of be like.
Is there a moral to this game? Do you plan on throwing in a moral to this, or is it just one of those funny mess around games? Is there, like, at the end, is there going to be a moral, or do you not want to disclose that at this time?
Well, there will be multiple morals. There's going to be morals like anti-slavery, which is not a huge topic nowadays, but there's still some slavery around the world, but maybe anti-slavery, anti-government messages, pro-government messages, racism, sexism. There's going to be those type of core messages in the game, but the overall moral, the overall theme of the game, I don't want to disclose right now.
Have you had any problems with this game so far?
Yes, actually, I lost 180 gigabytes and lost the first original game. So I went over and started to think of different plots, and this is actually the second game I thought of different plots, different games, and yeah, the issue is I had to restart from scratch, and this is where I'm at.
This is almost a second new game.
Yep. And what I did though was I took the old previous ideas and other ideas I made, I merged them together to make a superior version.
Do you have any events or plans for this? Events that you plan, or anything that you plan on putting into this game that's going to be special?
Actually, I have quite a few things. First off is a battleground type system where like there's an event and every time you go to this zone you can replay it over and over. It's kind of like an instant, except it'll be more battle oriented. I guess that's the word, battle oriented. Like let's just say it's a mission, it's a scenario from say World of Warcraft, or yeah, World of Warcraft's the best one, where you go into this area, you fight all these dudes, and at the end there's a boss, you kill it, and you get something out of it. Or maybe it's something like that. It's something like a scenario from World of Warcraft. I also plan to have a kind of a 3-tier system of a temple, dungeon, and raid. Temples will basically be purely story driven. It's side story, maybe main story. All you do is you go in there, you go through all these story driven elements. It's probably about 30 minutes to an hour. It's kind of like a small dungeon. I won't call it a temple, I don't know why. And there's a boss at the very end which you fight, and then you get a gear. It's kind of like a scenario, except both of them are going to be different in their own ways. Once you play the game, you'll see, if you play the game, but you'll see the difference if you play. Then there's dungeons. Dungeons will be 3-4 bosses. They're going to be scattered throughout. There might be about 10, maybe 20 of them in total. You go in there, you fight the bosses, you can get cured at the end. It's a dungeon. World of Warcraft dungeon, Guild Wars 2 dungeon, any MMO you think of, it's just a dungeon. Then there's raids. The final one is raids, and that will be 8 bosses. Each one very hard to do. You're going to need strategy to do it. Of course, there's going to be those mobs, trash, but then you get a boss, and it's going to take strategy. You're going to have to make up a group configuration. You're going to have to plan out which attacks you want to do, and you get big payoffs from it. You get better loot, you get better gear. It's just, it has a huge payoff in the end. But of course, if you want that to happen, you're going to have to find people, get the good configuration, so forth. Yeah, that's something I plan to do. Also, what I plan to have is, let's say, at the start you're by yourself. You're only one person. But I also want to have, you can gather people. 10, 20, 30 people. Each with their own story, each with their own characteristics. Each with their own play style. And yeah, I also just want to add unique characters into it. So unique characters, unique elements, tons of different choices, tons of different tactics. So those are different types of things I plan to add into the game.
What's this game called?
The game will be called Slaves of Mist. It may actually change depending on how the story goes, but for now it's called Slaves of Mist. That's the general idea of it anyways.
That's nice. Well, here. So, is there anywhere that we can find out more about this game that you're creating?
We actually plan to make a website soon about the game. It'll be a free one for now, but we plan to make a website soon about the game where you can find out information. We have a wiki, which we plan to update more about the lore and the characters. We plan to post on YouTube, at least somewhat often about the game. Videos, development, so forth, explain more about what the game is, how many hours you expect that you can get out of it, what you expect to get out of the story, and the quality. So YouTube, wiki, a website, and maybe other things in the future.
At this point in time, do you have a prediction date of when this game's going to be finished, and when us, the people, are going to be able to purchase it?
Anywhere between 3 months to a year.